No one knows when this pain will stop. Miss Daphne de Marneff, the author, writes. No one knows when the pain will stop. And that's, from everything I have read over the course of my life, when I've read about topics like this, that's the recipe for absolute madness. When you are feeling like you are being tortured, or being constrained, or being deprived of things that are essential to life, and you feel like you have no control over it, and you don't know when it's going to stop. Again, think, white people, of our brothers and sisters of color. No, I'm serious. Think about it. How many decades? How many centuries? Black folk in this country had to suffer through that constantly, being deprived of some form of relief. Is this registering with you as much as it has registered with me? The confluence of the Black Lives Matter movement, the huge demonstrations, this pandemic, and as the pandemic began in this country, began to really start to let Americans know this was for real. Right at that moment, we watched the execution of a black man in Minneapolis, the slow execution as he was strangled to death. But I hope that my white brothers and sisters would have some part of our consciousness where, with everything else that we have to deal with right now, that when this is over, and it will be over, the flu pandemic that killed 30 million people 100 years ago eventually reached an end point. And it was done without a vaccine. So this will be over. But as horrifying as this has been, and it's going to continue to be, as it continues to be one horrifying piece of a horrifying set of circumstances that are that is engulfing this country right now, starting with the orange ape at the top. As bad as all this is, I hope, and I mean this, I hope that all of my European American brothers and sisters will take note of how you're feeling. No, I'm serious. I'm not talking about touchy-feely bullshit. How you're feeling with everything restricted just out of your reach right now. And that you will retain this memory and you will think, damn it, think about how this has affected our black brothers and sisters. And there's another thing that you might consider if you do that, if you will go that far. I don't know how many white people are going to do that, but if you will, then there's some statistics that factor into that. The shorter lifespan of black folk in this country. The susceptibility that they have to more diseases, heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, and how those are factors that are a direct result of what you and I, my white brother or sister, are feeling right now. I mean, I I guess there's no time for social consciousness to take root right now, right? We're all dealing with all kinds of shit, career and kids and school and what to do and where to go and how to do it. And everything's coming unglued. It feels like, okay. And I get that. And I maintain that somehow we'll get through it. And then overarching everything, this orange ape and his destructive, sick, psychotic influence on the country. I get that too. So it may sound kind of, I don't know, so, hey, Malloy, that's so off my list. I'm not even going to pay attention to what you're saying. This idea of us whites trying to remember some of this and realize what blacks have gone through with this bullshit since forever in this country. And if we can do that, maybe it will modify our behavior, huh? We have the laws on the books now. According to the law, Jim Crow is dead. According to reality, horseshit. According to the law books, racism is dead. According to reality, more horseshit. You know this as well as I do. It takes a change in attitude, perception, a willingness to somehow, and this is the hard one, step beyond the racism that every single white person in this country has been intravenously fed since the day we were born. Now, the younger generation, Generation Z, or whatever the hell it's called, they have a better chance than, say, my generation, or the one behind me, or the one behind that. But these new kids, maybe. Those of us who are no longer teenagers, it's going to be a struggle. It is a struggle. But God damn it, can we not, white people, for once, involve ourselves in the struggle that is necessary to bring equal justice under the law to this country? I mean, can't we do that? There's so many forces in society right now who are trying to take advantage of our inherited racism. You see them all the time. These crazy son of a bitches in their weird little camo outfits and their great big beer guts and their guns and their Confederate flags and their shit-eating attitudes, right? So any attempt that you and I might have to change things is going to have to begin internally, which is the way it's always been, but we've always relied on the law, right? Well, I'm not a racist, Jesus Christ. Black people can go anywhere I can go. That's not it. That's not you. Oh, damn. I can't explain racism. You know what it is or you don't know what it is. But the only way you know what it really is to take a look. I'm talking to white people now, is to take a look inside of us whites. And you have to do that on your own. You really do. I don't know. I've always said, if you're having a trouble with this, if you're struggling because of what you're having to deal with right now, for Christ's sake, get a black friend or turn to one of your black friends that you already have. And I realize that's kind of a throwaway line. How many white people have black friends? I mean, seriously, come on. Well, there are hundreds of thousands, I'm sure, but not enough. And I don't, I have a couple of black friends right now. One of them is in Japan. Another one's in Chicago. And my best friend for 7 or 8 years is dead. Black guy. So I'm kind of, maybe I'm being a bit hypocritical because I don't have a black friend right now I can talk to. Well, not face to face. Where was I? Jesus, I'm all over the place. And I'm not preaching. I am not preaching So, please don't label me with that tonight. Oh, Malloy's in his preacher mode. No, I'm not. I'm just saying, Jesus, there are certain realities that are popping up now because of what we're dealing with, the pandemic and the semi-lockdown and the inability to touch people. So a lot of suppressed shit is popping up all over the place. We don't have the diversions right now, do we? We can't go sit down with the boys and play poker. We can't go off with the girls and have a girls' night out. We can't go to a movie. We can't do this. We can't do that. And all of that is diversion. And okay, it's good diversion up to a point until you amuse yourself to death, as Roger Waters wrote. Oh, Lord have mercy. I guess I do sound a little bit hysterical tonight, don't I? I think I would be better off. I don't mean this. I was going to say if I would do a less personal podcast, if I would talk about the issues, which I do a lot. But when I saw Jennifer Senior's column today, it just, opened up the little hatches inside my consciousness and really got my attention. Gave me whiplash there for a moment, for real. Anyway, I want to go back to Jennifer. She was quoting her friend, the best psychologist that she knows, Daphne de Marneff, who wrote that people often think of trauma as a discrete event, but it's really about helplessness, about being on the receiving end of forces you can't control, like being on an endless car ride with a drunk at the wheel. That was the end of the quote. And Jennifer adds, nor do any of us know what life will look like once this pandemic has truly subsided. Will the economy remain in tatters? Will our city centers be whistling, broken, conch shells, gritty and empty at their cores? You know what she's talking about? You walk on the beach, if you're lucky enough, you find a conch shell, unless you're in the Bahamas someplace, but you pick it up and it's just very pretty momentarily. Of course, when you get it home, it doesn't look as pretty, does it? But it's empty. It's devoid of the life that was in there. It's just nothing. And then Jennifer asked, will Trump be reelected, transforming democracy as we've known it into an eerie photo negative of itself? That's the big issue for me right now, other than my, personal family stuff and the traumas that we're going through right now. But I think about that. I think, dear God in heaven, what happens if the ape somehow manages to retain power? He's not going to be reelected, not in the general sense of that word, not the way Obama was reelected or Eisenhower was reelected. No. Or Reagan was reelected. No, if Trump gets another 4 years in office, it will be through the most vicious, fascistic fraud ever perpetrated on this country. And he has begun the fraud already, because Trump is a grifter and he knows how to set the stage for theft, deceit, lies, dishonor, criminal activity. And he is setting the stage for that. Prepare and remember the 3rd of November, please. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. You have your choice. You can listen to The Ranting with the audio podcast, or listen and watch me lose control with a video podcast subscription. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com. And never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.